right? Just assignable out. But for the average user that doesn't know what that means, we do silk screen 15 and 16 to be left and right. That way, someone goes, where's the mains? It's there. Okay. In addition to the surfaces themselves, we have a remote control app for iPad. We have a monitor mix app that'll work on your phone or your iPad. And then we have a PC editor. The iPad app is currently available. The PC editor is currently available. The Mac version of the PC the editor plus the monitor mix app should be available by the end of June. Okay. And then coming in spring 2016, we'll have a Dante Card that'll allow you to hook up to 3 stage boxes without any external switches.
Wow.
And each stage box will be 16 input, 8 output. So basically you can choose wherever you want to grab your channels from. Okay? The concept of the series is design meets intuition. And I'm going to start with a marketing term on purpose. Because one thing you have to understand that I didn't understand until I had to start researching all this stuff on behalf of Yamaha, because I used to work for competitors,
Sure.
is Yamaha started the digital mixer category in 1987. We've made a lot of different mixers, but we were really the stronghold in the small format mixer category for years. And we took all of that understanding using full design teams, right, from all different parts of the digital mixer teams. And we focused that on one goal, which is to make a very intuitive user experience for 2 general customers. The pro user, guy that really knows his stuff, but, you know, maybe doing a small nightclub, right, maybe doing a festival, you know, smaller stage festival, and you don't know what your channel counts are coming in, you don't know what your band lineups are coming in, stuff like that. So you can get it up and running really quick, right? Set up your channels really quick, get really close with stuff. So we like to say we get you about 80% of the way, or more visual reference. We like to get you to the driveway,
Sure.
but it's your responsibility to pull in the garage, okay? Now it doesn't mean you can't veer off and hit your mailbox, you can't tear up your lawn, but it still keeps you dangerously close to getting in the house, okay? So it still takes some skill, but it gets you really close. Just so happens when you solve that problem for that user, it also gives you these great guides for less experienced users because of our high resolution display. So you have these great visual indicators that you'll see that will allow a person that has almost no experience have some dangerous amount of skill, a ridiculously capable amount of skill without knowing they have any, just because we give you these tools that are based off of decades of different companies' experiences together and all put into this one console. Okay, so that's the series and its idea. And the way we work around it we call touch flow operation, because it's your choice of wanting a hardware surface. It's maybe I want to mix from a computer, maybe I want to mix from an iPad, or a variation of both. You can hook up to 1 PC editor, 2 remote control apps, and 10 monitor mix apps all at the same time to the console.
That's cool.
So like I said, there's a lot you can do. So that's the high level of the series. To start off with, when you first turn these on, it can default to coming up to this overview screen. You may have disabled it, but if you didn't, just so you know it's there. I generally assign it to a button, so as I'm going through these demonstrations, I can bring it up. There's about 10 or 11 slides, comes in about 9 different languages, so you can actually switch it from the preference screen to Spanish, French, English, Italian, Japanese, Chinese, a few others, okay? And if you notice, all these indicators are similar to what you'd see on a tablet device. So you see the little dots at the bottom of the screen. What would you think you would do if you were using a tablet, right? You saw a picture, right? So go ahead. Right? Wasn't hard, moves real easily, right? So right there from the get-go, we're giving you what we would call very intuitive operation. You know, it responds really quickly, really fast, not a whole lot of effort, right? A little simple. And how would you think you close it, right?
Oh,
The X, right?
fun.
All things people are known to normally use, okay? So, now we'll speed this up just a little bit. You start with your channel overview screen, right? Like, this is similar in a lot of ways to what we have on our QL and CL. We took the same theory, put it here, okay? The channel overview screen is surrounded by 3 buttons, just so you know, and your touch screen. So you have a home screen, home button, gets you always to home. So no matter where you are, gets you right here, okay? I call it your favorites button, but basically it's your access to your presets, your preset libraries. And then this is sort of your function button. If you want to copy paste, you want to switch channels over, you want to zero an EQ, something like that, that's what this button does. And you'll notice this silver knob here, it's the touch and turn knob, comes from our QL and CL series. Basically, anywhere on the console, if I touch it, I can turn it, right? I can touch it, I can turn it, I can touch it, I can turn it. So, right from the get-go, if you just want to do that, it becomes really easy to get around, right? So other things to get around is how you select a channel. Just like an O and V, I hit channel select, it selects a channel, right? You'll notice when I select this, it highlights this, right? And it'll bring up your channels in groups of 8. So if I hit 3, you'll see it comes over here, right? If I hit 14, it jumps to the screen of 9 through 16. You can see 14 highlighted. But that's not a whole lot of fun if you're a guy that likes touch screens, right? So what do you think I could do if I want to go from channel to channel? Oh my gosh, it's insane, right? Now you would think that should be matter of fact, but for whatever reason, no one else has done that, right? So we wanted to make this experience as organic to being a regular tablet user as possible, right? So you'll find that this experience to the remote control app is very, very similar. And the remote control app will control probably up to 90% of the console functions from that itself.
Oh.
So I can literally go through my whole channels all the way through to my stereo master, right? And you'll notice that when I touch something, we'll just start here. If I select something in the channel, the select button follows, right? If I go to a different channel and touch something somewhere, the select button follows. So you can select multiple ways. We try to give you at least 2 ways to get anywhere. Okay? So when you look at your channel overview screen, you'll see that there's a head amp, there's EQ, there's gate, compression, and you'll notice a little bit of writing as if you could see lower on the screen but we're missing something. So if I want to just see it, let's look at it, right? So your effects returns to your 2 global effects processors, your aux sends, your channel saves, your pan, and then your channel label. You notice there's an icon, there's pictures like congas here for the conga channels, there's guitar pictures, right? The color coding matches the coding under the scribble strip. And you can do up to 8 characters that you can custom type into your naming for each thing. But for some people that's not easy enough, so we add the ability to jump up and down very quickly this way, right? So 2 ways to get around. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Not hard, right? It's the idea. So think about this. How many consoles really have this problem, right? It's just hard to how do I find stuff? So speaking of finding stuff, patching. Everything's done 1-to-1 by default, and it's sort of stuck that way. So channel 1 is input 1. Channel 22 is input 22. Why does that matter? Because if you're getting up and running quickly, do you want to learn how the patching is set up? If you're a new user that has no idea that there's such thing as a patching screen, how are you going to find it? Right?
Yeah.
Sort of important. So we kept it simple, and that's the idea. Just remember focusing on that target customer who we're looking at. So you'll notice the fader banks have rules of how you can get around them. So you have fader bank 1, shows channels 1 through 24. If I go to input 2, it just shows you the rest of possible inputs. So in this case, we have up to the 40 channels that we spoke about. Currently it defaults to being the USB inputs, which I'll get to in a second. But this could also be more analog inputs once you add the stage box, right? So in the back there is a USB interface. It does 34 by 34, which seems odd. But it's 32 mono tracks plus a stereo pair, in and out. The USB interface of the computer is core audio compliant, so no drivers needed for Mac. ASIO compliant for PC, so it'll work with any DAW to get audio in and out.
That's great.
Nice and clean. So input 1, input 2, looking at all your outputs, right? So you can see the aux labelings, 1 through whatever. So that's generally the surface. So what makes it really interesting? Beyond all the cool stuff we've already showed you, what makes it really cool? So let's grab this. We will start here. We have this thing. So your general input preamp, right? Your input trim where you adjust your input level on a console. If you don't mind, you can be my vocal model for today. Just make sure it's on, if you don't mind. And then just say random stuff for fun. Okay?
Red leather, yellow leather.
So this is your standard meter, as you'd see. Is
Talk.
right? As you can see, there's a standard meter like normal people would use, right? Now here's the deal. How many times have you heard somebody on a console say, man, you gotta hit it really hard, it's gotta heat up or it's not gonna sound good, right? Or then you gotta, or another guy say, no, you gotta do it lower here because you need the headroom, you gotta do this. Well, that's really confusing. I know so many people that have no idea from console to console what to do, right? Imagine if we solve that problem with one super easy meter we call Gain Finder. So if you look at this meter right here, it looks sort of like a guitar tuner, right? So you, sir, If you can just walk to the side around the camera so that you don't hit it. What I'm going to ask you to do is while she goes red leather, yellow leather, because I can't do that fast, and just spin this. And you stop spinning this once this gets right in the middle here. You'll see the green indicator average there. So please talk for me. And you just
Red
go.
leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
Keep going.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather,
So
yellow
once
leather,
it's
red leather,
averaging
yellow
about
leather.
there, right in that middle part, keep talking so he can see what you're doing.
Unique New York, unique New York, unique New York, unique. Unique New York, unique New York. Unique
Right?
New
So
York,
it's about
unique.
average right there.
Yeah.
Once you hit that, just stop. That is all you need to have enough signal to have great signal to noise. So your signal is super clean and functional for the rest of the console. So think about that for a second. How many customers do you have gain staging problems, gain structure problems?
All of them.
Line level inputs, mic inputs. If it's a mic you've never used before, you don't know how to set the gain, you don't know where it's hitting it hard enough, you don't have to care anymore. You don't even have to hear it, right?
It's great.
Trust that when we tell you if you hit in the middle, it gets you between minus 20 to minus 16 dB from full,
Nice.
right? It's right in the sweet spot of where you need. These are all D-Pre's, so it's the same structure we use in our Steinberg series of UR series of recording interfaces or MGP series consoles, but it's a newer version that's recallable. So this setting that you have, from scene to scene, I can change what that input gain is for that same microphone. So if it switches from you to him, when you change your scene, it'll automatically change the gain for each person based on how you preset it for each scene.
That's awesome.
Right? Pretty wicked cool. That gain finder, that's insane. The amount of problems, because think about the question you had from how many customers. Why does it sound good when I invite you to run the console for me? You know, but when I got to do it, it starts clipping and it distorts and what's going on. That's usually the first place it causes problems, because if it's too hot here, your EQ. So notice I get the EQ right there. I don't have to go to another screen, and this scrolls up and down just like the main overview screen. So same experience, no fun, crazy menus. So we're gonna zero this out. And the whole reason that's important so is when you EQ, you're not clipping in some random frequency that people don't realize you can clip in just a band, right? I used to have guys clip on electronic drums, just on the kick drum, because they used to juice all the things to get the toms up, and not realize the kick drum. Anyways, let me focus.
Already there.
So every input channel, every output channel has a parametric EQ. So it's a 4-band parametric EQ. All the inputs also have a high-pass filter. On a usual console, you touch something, you turn it, you touch something, you turn it, you touch something, you turn it, right? So that's quick enough, but that's not that much fun. So let's touch something, and let's just adjust it, right? Because I can, and I will, so I do. I'm gonna make it ridiculous just for fun. So you can see it's that quick. I have. That's our multi-touch screen. Pretty easy to read, pretty sort of smoking. Okay. But that's not really helpful to a guy getting up and running quickly, or a girl trying to learn the first time, or doing a gig a million times over, whatever. So we partnered with Audio-Technica, Sennheiser, and Shure to create microphone-specific presets to specific applications. So basically what that means is we took our console and a set of DXRs, sent them to these companies, we made these presets, they looked at them and went, this is what we prefer. They're not mic models. We're not changing the microphones. We're doing what a normal engineer would do to EQ that microphone for that application, right? And it's based off a guide from decades of engineering experience from all those companies plus ours in one to give you a start. It happens to be way better than most customers ever start from, because for instance, so we're going to go here, and this is how hard it is. So you've never mic'd a saxophone before, right? You go by category, you can go to horns. You'll notice really quickly we have an AT Pro 35 for alto sax. So it shows it, you know, right there. It says you need 48 volt phantom power. It says it's for alto sax, right? You know, if you scroll through, we have Gen for general, right? Like general alto sax. This is if you don't have the specific microphone that's in here. It's a starting point for general use, right? We have Sennheiser E608 for alto sax, the little clip-on mic that they do, right? Or say commonly a Shure SM57 or one of their new PGA series, right? So SM57 with alto sax, literally, you take this, not only will it give you an EQ, it'll name the channel, so it shows you what the channel currently looks like. So it says Vox 1, it'll change the color if the color matches a certain color scheme, and it'll even adjust the head amp for you as a starting point. So think about how quickly that gets you on a microphone with an application you've never done before for a gig, because you had a sax guy show up as the special guest randomly, and no one told you about him, right? Hey, so that's all you have to do, right? Recall. Notice how instantly that changed to alto sax, and that changed to alto sax, and changed the color. I don't know if that was too hard for you, right? Not complex so far. So you'll notice when it comes to this EQ screen, it says one knob here, and it says intensity. So imagine the one knob compressor we had from the MG series, the MGP series. We totally made it its own dedicated effects processor to do however flavor that person likes. So you can vary it from person to person for their mix, which is really nice.
That's awesome.
Right? So
Happy divas.
there is more, right? So think about setting up quickly, right? So we showed you the loudness, right? Well, we have more Quick Pro presets for the outputs. So if I hit select here on my master out, we measured over 100 rooms. We checked indoor rooms, outdoor rooms, large rooms, small rooms. We found that if you do all these room measurements and stuff, you can fix a good chunk of the problems with 3 presets for front of house position when tuning your system. So if you go into here, you'll see 3 presets. FOH for front of house, right? Large, outside, and small room. And it tells you what the room size is. And when you recall this, it gives you this here that just sort of tightens up your mix. And if you want to test it in real life, try this and just literally bypass it, turn it on and off like that, and check it out. It's a great guide to start, and you'll find what it ends up doing is a lot of times when the room gets away from you, and the low frequencies especially, those things that people don't find real easily, but they happen to happen all the time in certain types of rooms, this starts bringing it all out of the way right away. So it makes your mix just tighten up, become clearer, and it makes your low frequency just feel more detailed and expressive, right? All with just a simple adjustment that quick, instead of spending a good hour or two room adjusting, because maybe it's a new space, it's the first time you've done it, that kind of thing. Nice and quick and easy. So that's a Quick Pro preset for the outputs. We have a similar function to just do general loudness for in-ear monitors, and over time we plan to have some monitor specific settings as well for different companies' outputs and stuff. So that's basically inputs, outputs, dialing your auxes, right? That's basically what you need to do a show, right? So if you want to take it one step further, we have a custom layer. And you know what I'm going to do, which isn't quite normal, is I'm going to build you one. Just for example, so you can understand my thought process as to why we're doing this. So when I'm doing a gig, maybe the first thing I want to do is have the most important guy up there, the money channel, right? So in this case, this is the guy we assigned the money channel. Always need to have access to his fader, right?
Why is it not green?
Because I didn't make him green. I can make him green later for you. If it makes you feel better, I can do that first, but we'll do that after. Okay? Then, because I already pre-built my DCAs before the show, and I got them relative to each other, so I just want to do levels. So I'm gonna bring up my DCAs, right? So I'm gonna select 9, and I'm just gonna start going through and populating my DCAs, right? So this way, this is accessible, this is accessible. Maybe there's a special guest, I'm gonna put him over here, that happens to be a guitar player, right? So I'm gonna want him there. And then, so I don't have to look for it, I'm gonna put on 17, effects 1, and 18 effects 2, because that's how I used to do it on my old console, so I want it there even though it's right here all the time, just because that works for my brain.
Yep.
And then for this show, I only use maybe 3 monitor mixes. So there's a vocal monitor mix, there's one for the guitar player, it's really the guitar and the bass player, and there's one for the drummer. So this way, now on my custom layer, I have access to my 2 most important channels that are going to change. I have access to doing my DCA mixing. I have access to my effects return level here if I want to change that saturation. And I can do my overall level for my monitors right from here without ever moving anywhere. Right? So that's the idea, behind the custom layer. And you'll notice, just like before, the custom layer shows as you swipe through whatever we've populated to that grouping.
And
Right.
you can still select a single channel out of that.
Right?
Yep.
I should actually put not a guitar DCA over there. I messed up.
I saw it, but I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's alright.
I know what you were
I'm
doing.
looking upside down.
It makes
My
sense.
apologies.
It makes sense.
But do you see what I mean? So now you can even minimize the amount of moving around you can do even further. So as you start thinking about your show, you can make it super easy. So that's working through the console. That's the bulk of what you want to do. Beyond programming scene changes into here, custom assigning that stuff. There's a foot switch on the back that you can assign even that to tap tempo or scene change if you prefer. You can set one of these knobs to be screen brightness. So in case you want to really make it quickly dimmer or brighter, and you can do all sorts of stuff like that. So other couple things are like, watching your inputs and outputs of what you're recording.
That was
Right.
just by tapping the top.
See that little tape indicator? That just tells you where playback and record is at a high level, right? And if you had something with a file structure on it, it will show you the title list here. You want to see your queuing/monitoring section, right? So we'll go to a regular layer. So in mix queue, it works sort of like an analog mixer would. If I hit a queue, it queues up that channel. If I hit another one, it adds to that mix and it creates a mix in your queue, right? Most digital mixers a lot of times default to what we call last queue, which is if I queue a channel and I move to the next one, it releases the first one, so you're only listening to one channel at a time. And then there's always a queue clear right here, so even if you forget or you're on a different screen, you can always clear that. And then specifically with the queuing system, right, a lot of guys at front of house might prefer using studio monitors to reference their queue instead of headphones because they might have comms in one ear, right? But your speaker system could be 30 feet, 40 feet away, and you have your monitors here. How do you adjust for that delay timing real easily, especially if you don't know what delay time to distance means? Well, you don't have to guess anymore. So if you look over here, if you know that it's, 30 feet away, it adjusts the amount of milliseconds and it'll offset that for you. So you don't have to worry about setting your monitors properly up for yourself right here in front of house, which is pretty cool. And then, that's basically the bulk of the console without getting really, really deep into it beyond probably the most important thing I haven't really talked about yet, which is metering, right? So you have some general metering here. You have the microphone if you want to just tap on it. You can see the meter hit there. But one thing you'll notice is you also have these sort of chiclets, right? That's actually your fader position on the screen. The same kind of metering function is on the remote control app exactly, right? And then if you want to see it closer, you can tap to zoom in, swipe through the channels, tap to zoom in further, swipe to zoom the channels, or you can zoom out this way if you prefer, and you can change how it looks at the meters. But you always have these meters at the top of the screen, no matter what. But if you want to actually see the full input and output metering, you can do that as well. So that's the Surface. You said you had the app on your...
It's not running
If
for some reason, but you can use the...
Do it offline is fine. Otherwise I can do it on mine. Whatever's easier. There you go. So one thing you'll notice, the reason I asked for yours is because it has a case. Because this was built so that it would fit a case right here. That's why this ledge is as steep as it is. Right? Because a lot of people don't use their iPads without a case, especially at a gig, because you might drop it. Right? And you'll notice all the screens are sort of similar, right? So you have your head amp, which looks interesting, but your first 4 effectors, right? If you notice there's these dots here, just like the original help screen. If I just swipe my finger in this area, I can go to EQ, I can go to gate, I can go to compressor. And just like whenever you double tap to go into anything over here, I can double tap to go into something over here. Come on, there we go. And you have your full gain finder, but instead of being on a knob, it's on a slider. Your EQ, it still adjusts, tells you where it is. You can still do one knob from here. So you have that one knob functionality here. Your full gate control, your full compressor control. Remember we talked about channel naming, right? So that same experience of a keyboard is the same experience here. That's why it was meant to be consistent. The other thing I didn't show you, but I wanted to show you here because it's bigger, is we have actually naming categories. So if you want, it gives you a little cheat sheet. Like if you want to just quickly change names to to different things. It'll actually quickly label the channel and icon it for you and stuff. So if you want to sit there and actually type it and really quick, you want to do something on the fly, you have all these things for different instrumentation. So if I want to do like strings, you know, we'll say violin, and it changes it to violin, changes the icon, all that stuff. So you have some of that to play with as well. So navigation is just like on the console, you swipe, right? Or you can tap a section here to get to it quickly. And then just so you know, as you're in that section, just like before, you have those indicators. You can see that little where the fader position is at all times there. And then remember, sends on faders, sort of these going up and down, sends on faders. I can do the same kind of thing and grab that and then do the sends on fader and then go back to the main. So very simple, very powerful, one-to-one kind of experience. And then just to show you the, it's a beta build, but I'll show it to you. We have the, actually if you're going to recall, we have the monitor mix app here, right? Which is nice. It shows you what aux you're on, what it's labeled. There's a handshake to the console, so there's a pin number you type in, so you don't have to worry about your friend hijacking your monitor mix, right? Because it happens. They like to mess with you. You don't have to worry about that, right? To go through your different channels, you just swipe through. So your volume levels, pretty simple. Your pan, right? And just like the EQs do on the screen, if you double tap, it zeroes out the pan, so it centers it. So you don't have to find center, right? Another interesting thing though we do is, you see this little square in the bottom? You can actually group stuff. So you can actually independently group mix your drums and then just have a master level for your drums to do them all at once, right? For your own personal monitor mix, it doesn't affect the console, it just affects you, right? And it's as hard as doing something like this. Creating a group, you can name it, color it, creates the group, and then I can even take that group and I can move it over here. Now my group shows up there. I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, nice and intuitive, right? So you can see that theme resonates through the console everywhere, right? All the design leads to intuitive operation. Over here, oh, no brainer, this is what you do, right? You go back and forth. So in a nutshell, that ecosystem of very simple operation that's very intuitive, it's touch-based, it's touchful operation, right? So it makes sense?
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that's the TF series. We feel that we found a solution to address issues that no one's tried to in this way before, to really make mixing faster and much more effective for the pro, but it's a great training tool for the inexperienced user.
Where is that?
So,
Bonus features.
There you go.
Bonus
Oh,
features!
so when you select sub here, right? So you're in your output group.
Yep.
So instead of doing sends on faders, you have aux 1 through 8, like your other auxes, but say you're sub. Okay. Just so you know, right now you'll notice they move together. This occurs because I know you're going to ask this later anyway, so we're going to tell you that first. Is in your bus setup, you can link or unlink. So now this,
Cool.
right? Just as an FYI, because that's the first thing someone asks if we're talking about the
Link
sub.
channels.
Okay. So just like you can manually do on any channel, and you see the send from icon, if you go to your output screen, you hit select over the sub channel, right? Or you just tap it up here. Now you can mix your whole subsection, right? And so if I want to send kick there, this is actually sending kick right to my sub, right? If
So you
I
can
want to
choose not to
send
s-
bass guitar, if I want to just mute the channel, I don't even have to
have it on.
have it on,
Nice.
right? So say I wanted this, I wanted my low tom,
Yep.
right? You want your bass guitar, and for some reason your
Keys.
keyboard because you're
Yep.
doing bass synth,
Yep.
right? There you go. That's all going to your sub mix now.
Gotcha. But where
That's
is
so
that?
plain.
That is right. It's literally just you select the sub channel on your output screen.
Where do I connect the XLR?
Oh, you want to connect?
Where
sorry.
is it?
So where? So here's the catch, right? Remember we had 16 outputs.
Yep.
We have more than 16 outputs patchable right now
Okay.
because of the intent of the stage
Yep.
box, right? So in this screen, right here, where you have bus setup, you have Omni out. Okay. So you'll notice 1 through 8, 9 through 16. So
Gotcha.
I can just pick any one of these. If I touch it and I go like this, now the sub comes out of number 12. That's it.
And I want to go
So if you want your sub to come out of there
there.
instead,
boom.
click OK. Now your sub will come out of there. That's it.
Okay.
That's probably the hardest thing to do on the console.
Yeah.
Is realize that you have to actually patch your outputs.
Yeah.
And that's because you only have 16 hardware on the console. You know,
Yeah.
the console can do more.
I like it.
But that's wicked easy,
Yeah.
right?
Once you figure out where it was.
Well, no, I mean, I knew where it was. I was trying not to go that deep for the sake of the video.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, we're at my
Because it was
level.
already going deeper than I would have usually for a video. I would have stopped actually just at the EQ and said we're done. Because that's all you need to know. Because that in itself, there's nothing that does gain finder or an EQ the way we do.
Yeah.
That solves how many problems on the planet. So we think it's a bargain for what we're selling it for. We hope customers do too. When we've tried this out in the field, when I did the videos, we created the videos here in the US for global launch. So when we did the videos, we blind tested guys. So if you see our Russ Long video online, we really did that. Russ was like a deer in headlights going, seriously, what am I doing? All I know is I'm here for a digital mixer, and we told him nothing. We're like, okay, here, why don't you mess around with it for a minute, see what you can tell is going on. Then we give him about 10 minutes and we said, okay, here's a band. And we have, it's not just a random band, it's a Yamaha artist. So it's like no pressure, real artist, right? And we put him up there and said, okay, we'll give you the time to do the slowest sound check ever, and it took like 10 minutes. Not a single squeal from feedback, anything during line checks, whatever. Mixed on the console, and then when he had to go do like monitor mixes, we just said, here's the iPad app.
Yeah.
Go have fun. I didn't show him what I showed you. Let him figure it all out. Not a single question from him. We did the same thing 2 days later with a House of Worship environment with another engineer that's really well known, and he literally went there as if he'd be using it his whole life. He even started building his own DCA groups and everything. He's like, oh, this is a no-brainer. And you watch him flipping through the console as if he'd done this for months, weeks, years, and it literally been 10 minutes and just flying through. I mean, all of it's sort of a no-brainer. I almost want to keep talking, right, when I'm doing these demos, because it's like, well, there should be more. Well, no, there shouldn't. It finally does what you want, and it's done. Okay. End of conversation. Let's make some freaking music and sound awesome. Right?
Yep. Question?
Yep.
Just on the pro side,
Mhm.
and then also just because we have like more consoles than anybody else does.
Yeah.
Everybody's got 4 effects engines.
Yeah.
So I want to do vocals and I want to do drums, but not in the same effect.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility in the future that they would give us more?
That I don't know.
You don't know,
Yeah.
because it's just the first launch.
Well, it is what it is, and generally speaking, for the class of user where you're doing this,
Yeah. You're talking about
if you
this
start
level.
doing a separate vocal verb versus your drum verb, you're going to cause a lot of problems,
Okay.
right?
For your
Well,
novice
yeah.
guy, yeah.
If you wanted to really
Yeah.
fudge it around, you could get creative.
Yeah.
Remember I said on
Yeah.
all the stereo boxes
I was
that
seeing
they have their
that.
own insert effects?
Yeah, I was checking that out.
Technically speaking,
You
you
could.
could be more than creative and route the outs.
Okay.
You know, and you could take that out back to somewhere else. And
Okay.
You could patch it,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
I mean,
figured that-
considering we
that
have
was
6
like-
effects engines there, it's not like it's not possible.
Yeah. That's where I was
Right.
like, okay.
We're just not.
How can we?
We're not going there because
Okay.
that's a lot of setup for a guy that would never know how to do that properly and undo it.
But,
You know what I mean?
but at my
for-
level, that's
Correct.
where we're like,
And
dude,
most guys I know,
Yeah.
they've just already spent about 5 minutes and went, I'll just do that. I know who that's for. It's not
That's
for
cool.
him. It's
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah,
So technically speaking,
you can. Okay.
I mean, why couldn't you, right?
Okay.
It's just an output.
Yeah.
So if you take that output